Hey guys, hope everybody out there is doing well today. So, for those of you that know me, this doesn't really come as any surprise because you know me well enough to understand this, and those who don't, there's maybe a different side of me that you've not seen before. So, I've always had a very deep fascination with the natural world and being out in nature. A large part of my distilling research into the old distilleries in southern Indiana also revolves around my passion for getting out into the southern Indiana countryside. In the past, 5-6 years since I started commercial distilling, I've unfortunately not been able to spend as much time out in nature, just doing kind of, simple hunter-gatherer stuff, or even farming is what I would like to and is what I used to. And there's a piece of me that always wants to be a part of that. In fact, I will tell you that one of the biggest hurdles for me as a commercial distiller is that I think, at least in my brain, some of the romanticism of distilling or moonshining, as I used to do, was being able to be outside and be a part of nature, and to be able to make more use of natural ingredients that I could go out and find on my own. So that said, I've got a number of irons in the fire. So I've obviously got all the distilling stuff that I do, the videos I do there, plus Spirits of French Lick, plus multiple podcasts, including one that we're working on now because one of my other loves is Fortean, or the occult, esoteric, cryptids, all that stuff. We're gonna get into all that stuff down the line too. But one of the things I love doing is just getting out in nature, and anytime I can get 2 or 3 passions pulled together in one place, I certainly will. So I thought that every once in a while I might do a little a little series of videos when I'm working on something that I think's cool, and maybe somebody will think it's cool, maybe it's just boring, I don't know. But I like to share things with the world. So I think it's very important that people have a chance to get out and do things in isolation on their own. And maybe that's weird to me too. I'm an only child, so solitude has always been very important to me. And maybe making a video about something that I consider a solitary endeavor might seem a little bit odd, but again, I like to share my thoughts and things that I do with other people. So today I am out on my family's farm, 40-acre farm outside of Pekin, Indiana, where I grew up. Old tobacco farm that we converted to a produce farm that I ran for several years as Bishop's Homegrown. I'm out here on the kind of backside of the wooded area. Used to be a pine thicket back in here, and I used to do a lot of fatwood harvesting. So I don't know if you people know what fatwood is or not, but basically when a pine tree dies and it falls, what will happen over time is that all of the resin from that pine tree will begin to settle in certain areas of that pine tree, particularly in the roots and also along the inner nodes of the branches. That resin has a lot of terpenes or turpentine that has settled out, and it's highly flammable, and it makes great fire starter. But it also makes beautiful woodworks if you're into that sort of thing. So today I'm just out in the woods harvesting a little bit of this fat wood to use to start fires at the house, basically. But also I'm going to try to cut a few branches because this wood has a beautiful coloration to it. It's kind of waxy, and I'm going to try to work some runes into that stuff. So Norwegian mythology is something I'm also very interested in, and it's something I've worked in my own personal belief system. But I'll let you guys look around the woods real quick. This side of the woods is pretty messy. This woods is overgrown pretty well, and I've been working in certain places of it for a few years trying to get it cleaned up, and eventually I will get it there. But beautiful place still, in my opinion. So when you're out in the woods looking for fat wood, you're basically looking for old pine trees. Came across this one when I came in. Obviously been here a long time. Most of it's rotted, as you can see. But when you're checking for fat wood, and I've already cut on this one, you want to check these inner nodes where these branches are, because a lot of that resin will settle out right in there. So as you can see, I'm going to kind of cut into this just a little bit. You can see it looks like fresh wood. The other thing about fat wood is it will smell like fresh pine. If you look at this piece of wood, see that darker coloration? That right there is all that rosin. And it smells beautiful. So we're gonna cut a little bit of that out. Actually, sometimes on these old ones, the inside of that whole thing might be fatwood. Look at that. You can see that coloration. That's all fatwood. So we're gonna do some dissecting on this tree. There's a spot over here, a little bit in there as well. Do some cutting on this tree and see what we can harvest out of it. So after cutting into the tree a little bit, most of it on the inside is fatwood. Not a real high quality fatwood, but it's good for fire starter. But what I'm after right now is these branch internodes. So I'm gonna use them to make some runes. And zoom this back out a little bit. So if you look, see that dark coloration. I'm hoping to cut some rounds out of these and use that to make my runes with. So I'm gonna go along the length of this tree and pull out the few round branches that are there that probably have some good fat wood in them. Now I'm gonna head on over into this thicket over here. You can see there's a pine tree over there I've been cutting on in the past. I'm gonna get into that and see if I can't collect enough to do what I want to do. So I'll get back with you after I get some more of it harvested. Just kind of show you around the woods here. I love this place more than anywhere else in the entire world. But I'll catch back up with you in a minute. So now I've been over here cutting on the larger log a little bit. Here's a few of the pieces I've pulled off. Actually, this one's a fairly good sized piece, but I've been cutting on this tree now for a couple years. You can see I've taken a lot out of it. I've actually cut some stumps off of the inside of this tree, off the bottom end, taking those home and split them to use as fire starters. But once you get through this kind of punky wood here on the outside, and there is a lot of it, this tree's rotted a lot more this year than it has in the past several. But you can hear, I'm not going to cut all the way down in there, but if you listen, you can hear you hitting something hard. That is all fat wood down in there. But these branch internodes are usually where the real high concentrations are at. Let's see if I can cut into this one to show you. Got a little mouthful there, but there you go. You can see all that resin that's built up in that tree. That's all just fantastic fire starter. So anyways, finish harvesting out a few more branches off of this beauty and get started on my project. So catch up with you guys in a little while. So I'm now back at the homestead after cutting my fat wood, and I'm out in the wood shop, and you can kind of see what I've got going on here. So I'm trying to size everything and cut everything into these small chips. Fat wood is really well preserved, really. It's resistant to rot, obviously, microbes, etc. So I'm going to take these once I'm done with everything and make several sets of them. Some small ones, some larger ones. And I'm going to take a wood burner and I'm going to burn the Elder Futhark runes into each one of them. And then they can be used to whatever person's heart's desire. So once we get that far, I'll catch back up with you. Alright, as you guys can see, I've now finished my my set of all 24 of the Elder Futhark Runes. So a little crude. I'm not the best at wood burning, but you know, it's all about the intent when it comes to the way that you use these old mystical systems. So the intent was certainly there. I went out and I harvested the fat wood. I burned these all by hands and cut them all by hand, and so these are mine, my own personal set. So overall, pretty cool project. I'm gonna make some more. I've got some small pieces I'm gonna make a smaller set with, and at some point in time I'm gonna make a bag for them, because that's what you really need something to carry them around in. So for now, in true hillbilly style, I'm gonna just put them in a mason jar. So thanks for watching, guys. Later.